Orlando is famous for its year-round sunshine, but when those temperatures soar, finding a cool escape is key. Luckily, Orlando's water rides offer the perfect way to beat the heat. Whether you're floating through a magical bayou with Princess Tiana or facing the mighty jaws of a T-Rex, Orlando's water rides offer the perfect mix of thrills and splashes with something for everyone, whether that's gentle drizzles or towering waves of water. Hi, I'm the Frugal Brit, and in this video I'll be ranking Orlando's top 7 water rides that leave you drenched in reverse order of wettest, so ending with the one that guarantees you'll be soaked to the bone. Without further ado, let's dive in. Taking the 7th spot is the Tiana Bio Adventure water flume ride, which is found in Magic Kingdom in the soon-to-be transformed Frontierland, the first attraction you'll see when entering from Adventureland. This is the newest ride we'll be covering in the video, having recently replaced the fan favourite Splash Mountain. The story of Tiana's Bio Adventure continues the journey of Princess Tiana, set roughly a year after she successfully opened her restaurant. As you queue, you'll walk through Tiana's employee-owned food production business, which is preparing for a Mardi Gras celebration. Riders will board the log flumes and start their journey through the lush bayou scenery, accompanied by the soulful sounds of Dr. John's down in New Orleans. Around the bend, you'll be greeted by a Tiana animatronic who's seeking help to assemble a band for Mardi Gras celebrations. Next, you'll glide past Tiana's swaying crops, with Larry the armadillo swiping a few onions. The action ramps up with the ride's first drop, which takes you into the magical nighttime bayou through dark glowing waters and passing Louie the jazz-loving alligator. As you journey further, the bayou comes alive with a band of woodland creatures celebrating the evening. Soon after, Tiana makes another appearance, guiding you deeper into the bayou. Eventually, you encounter Mama Odie, who uses her magic to shrink you down to the size of a frog. You'll float through this miniature bayou, past frogs and fireflies, putting on a dazzling show, before being brought back to normal size and sent down the ride's signature drop, sending you into a misty tunnel which leads you towards the rivers of America. This final drop is where you're most likely to get soaked, but the splashes are pretty modest by Orlando standards, it has to be said. The ride later concludes with a grand Mardi Gras celebration with Tiana, Louie and the rest of the lively cast as they sing the ride's original song, Special Spice, the adventure then wrapping up with a playful nod from Mama Odie. In my humble opinion, Disney has delivered a great attraction with Tiana's, despite having some big shoes to fill. However, many have noted that there feels like quite a lot of dead space with the ride, and it also lacks a bit of tension, all valid criticisms. Has to be said though that Tiana's is a big upgrade in terms of technology. Unsurprisingly, given the source material, the music is great, though I have to admit the new original song doesn't quite connect in the same way as Zippity Doo Dah. On the soak scale, I'm giving Tiana's a 3 out of 10. It's pretty tame as far as the splashes go, but if we were ranking based on overall ride experience, I'd have to give it an 8 or a 9 out of 10, and it'd be top of the list. Taking the 6th spot is the iconic Jurassic Park River Adventure Raft ride located in Universal Islands of Adventure's Jurassic Park Land. A staple of the park since it first opened in 1999, blending adventure, suspense, and a splash of nostalgia. The journey begins with a serene boat ride through a peaceful lagoon, where you'll encounter a variety of gentle herbivorous dinosaurs grazing in their lush surroundings. But this tranquility is short-lived as your boat enters a restricted area of the park where the atmosphere shifts. Carnivorous dinosaurs are broken free, and the peaceful cruise quickly turns into a scary adventure. As the boat navigates the increasingly chaotic environment, guests are treated to several startling encounters with animatronic dinosaurs, culminating in a heart-stopping showdown with a towering T-Rex. The suspense reaches its peak as the boat appears to head straight for the gaping jaws of the T-Rex, only to plunge down an 85-foot drop at the last second. The steep flume sends the boat crashing into the water below, sending a colossal wall of white spray into the air, drenching the surrounding Isla Nublar cliffs, and misting onlookers who dare to stand in the designated soak zone. For those on the ride, the degree of wetness can vary depending on where you're seated. Those in the front should definitely brace themselves, but those in the centre of the middle rows can often escape with just a light splash. The theming throughout is top notch. It remains one of my favourites in the park, but it does feel as if Universal is kind of neglecting the ride these days. Many effects and animatronics are not working as well as they did when the park first opened. A substantial refurbishment in the near future would definitely be a welcome update. Despite these issues, River Adventure remains a big draw for the park. On the soak scale, I'd give it a 5 out of 10. Coming in at number 5 is Kali River Rapids, located in Disney's Animal Kingdom within the Asia land, specifically the fictional village of Anandapur. The raft ride is set within the Chakranadi River, a once pristine waterway now threatened by illegal logging operations. The experience begins as you queue through an ancient temple, eventually boarding large 12-person circular rafts in a Tibetan-style pagoda draped with colourful prayer flags. Once secured in your raft, you start with a gentle ascent up a wooded hillside dotted with animal sculptures of spirit guardians. At the top, the raft is released into the river, where the current picks up speed. You glide past geysers and rock formations, surrounded by the sounds of the jungle, but this is soon replaced by a landscape of charred trees and a logging truck teetering over the river's edge. Tension builds as you float beneath a bridge of flaming logs, leading to a thrilling 30-foot drop that soaks riders, in particular those on the front left side of the raft. The excitement continues as the raft spins and bounces through wild rapids, dodging waterfalls and jets, through tunnels. As you approach the end, statues of elephants spray you with one last splash before the ride concludes. Calais River Rapids stands out for its incredible theming, perhaps the best of any ride in this video. However, the ride does have its drawbacks. It's relatively short compared to the other raft rides, and the excitement does seem to peak a bit too early. The rapids themselves are relatively mild, so whilst the theming is exceptional, there's better rides in this video for thrill and soak seekers. In terms of soak scale, I'll have to give it a 6 out of 10. Claiming the 4th spot on the list is Journey to Atlantis, so we'll be making our first visit to Seaworld Orlando, aiming for the Sea of Legends land. This hybrid coaster takes guests on a 6-minute journey through the mythological world of Atlantis, blending dark ride elements with thrilling coaster moments. The adventure begins with a dark ride journey, where you'll explore mysterious and beautifully themed passages of Atlantis. As the ride progresses, you'll be sent up a steep lift hill framed by an ancient archway, where you'll get a moment to appreciate the ride's impressive architecture before entering into a temple which leads you to the ride's biggest drop, a high-speed descent that erupts into a colossal fan of white mist, spreading its wings across riders and onlookers. Whilst the visuals make this drop look more intense than it feels, there's still a decent chance you'll get soaked. However, it's the ride's second, much smaller drop through the rockwork that really catches everyone off guard, where you're most likely to get drenched. But the journey isn't over. Another lift hill carries you back into the temple, leading to a thrilling climax, a spiralling drop that twists and turns through the darkness, finishing with one final splash before safely returning you to the station. Journey to Atlantis stands out with its unique theming, cleverly blending a traditional water flume ride with roller coaster elements. But the theming and immersion don't quite compete with the Disney and Universal rides, which isn't helped by the fact that some effects are missing these days from the dark ride portion of the ride, including the narration, which was key. Still a big fan though. In terms of soak scale, I'd have to give it an 8 out of 10, mainly due to that second drop. Sliding into 3rd place is the Dudley Do-Right's Ripsaw Falls Log Flume Ride, located in Universal Islands of Adventure, our first stop in Toon Lagoon. This corner of the park is the epicenter of water thrills, containing 3 of the 7 rides featured in the video, with River Adventure being a short walk from Toon Lagoon. But we're headed to Dudley Do-Right's Ripsaw Falls next, which is themed to the Dudley Do-Right character and his attempts to rescue his love interest. After winding through the playful queue, you're placed in your log, before being whisked away into a whimsical forest and onto the now retired Splash Mountain. Worth noting that the ride vehicles are shaped like free-floating log flumes, but the ride runs along an underwater track like a roller coaster. Along the way, you'll witness Dudley's comical attempts to save the day, featuring modest, mostly static scenes and a series of small to medium-sized drops. All of this builds anticipation for the main event, a steep climb up a lift hill where riders are drenched by a waterfall before entering a cartoon armory, followed by a dynamite shack which explodes, sending riders down a 75-foot drop at high speeds towards a large pool of water at the bottom of the sawmill. The drop creates an incredible visual spectacle for onlookers on the bridge, worth mentioning that those sat towards the front of the log are most likely to get the wettest. As the ride winds down, you drift into the loading station, with Dudley and his horse awarded for their heroics. In terms of reviewing this attraction, I'd say it nails the important things, namely the ride experience, which is great. The final drop might just be my favourite moment of any of the water rides covered. The theming, characters, and on-ride audio are all fun and charming, though they obviously don't reach the level of immersion seen in Disney's water rides. Most of the characters are non-moving statues. Another downside is that the ride is often closed for lengthy refurbishments during the winter, with little to show for it in terms of update. Another common complaint is the seating arrangement. The logs are very small, making it a tight fit, so a word of warning to those with longer legs. In terms of the soak scale, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Coming in as Orlando's second wettest water ride is Infinity Falls, so a trip back to SeaWorld Orlando, this time headed for the Sea of Mystery Land. Infinity Falls is a river raft ride spanning 1,500 feet of track, designed to transport guests to a lush jungle environment reminiscent of a river expedition deep in the heart of South America. Shortly after leaving the loading area, you'll travel through waterfalls pouring from the remains of a wooden water wheel. You'll then float through a chicane section before coming to the first drop, which plunges you under a pedestrian bridge right into choppy rapids, soaking the lower half of most on board. Next, you'll drift around a waterfall and then onto a conveyor belt that slowly carries you upwards, with water dripping down from the ride's main drop above. Once at the top, you'll experience the wettest part of the ride, filled with tight turns and chicanes that have your raft surging over multiple bumps, which sends water pouring into the raft. For the final and most thrilling part of the ride, riders enter a vertical elevator lift that ascends 40 feet in just 5 seconds, preparing you for the tallest drop of any river raft ride in the world, surpassing the previous record of 36 feet held by RiverQuest and Fantasialand. As you plunge into the churning white water below, those heading down backwards will get the wettest, less so for those facing forwards. Following this, you'll float back to the loading station to complete the circuit. Infinity Falls is a great ride that doesn't just rely on its 40-foot drop to deliver its thrills. It features some excellent elements throughout, making it an exciting overall experience. Although the backstory might be a bit weak, Seaworld has done a great job with the tropical landscaping for the immersion, but in terms of soak scale, I'm going to match it with Ripsaw Falls with a 9 out of 10. Taking the number 1 spot for the wettest ride in Orlando is Popeye and Bluto's bilge wrap barges for our 3rd trip to Islands of Adventure and 2nd visit to Toon Lagoon. The theme of the ride is classic Popeye, who you're invited to join on a mission to save his damsel in distress, known as Olive Oil. You'll board circular rafts that seat up to 12 people, and the ride begins with a small drop under a pedestrian bridge that provides a mini shower. Soon, you'll find yourself surrounded by canyon-like walls as the rapids take hold, drenching the shoes and socks of those who forgot to wear their Crocs. As the action picks up, your raft comes to a shipwrecked boat that's seen better days, where a massive funnel dumps a violent stream of water right onto unfortunate riders directly under its path. This part is the most brutal drenching of any water ride I've come across, but if you're sitting towards the rear right of this bit, you might come away relatively unscathed. The journey continues past the Me Ship the Olive Kids play area, which is showing signs of hull damage. Up top, the deck is equipped with water cannons aimed straight at your raft, adding insult to injury. Next, you approach an industrial-looking water pump that sprays riders before you float into a dimly lit cave where a giant octopus is clutching hold of Popeye. Emerging from the cave, your raft ascends a conveyor belt into a boat washing machine where water sprays from all directions with pipes and hoses ensuring no one is left dry. Around the corner, you'll race toward a model of Popeye being fueled up on spinach, ready for a showdown with Bluto before drifting back to the rotating platform. Clocking in at around 7 minutes, Bilge Wrap Barges is the 2nd longest water ride covered in the video, giving you more bang for your buck. While it lacks the thrill factor of big drops featured in other water rides, it more than compensates for the sheer amount of water that will drench you, making it arguably the most exciting experience for those seeking a serious soak. The cartoon theming is well executed, but again, doesn't come close to matching the immersive quality of Disney's offerings. The animatronics, while charming, offer little movement, though the speed of the ride means you won't have much time to notice. Unless you hate water rides, great fun is guaranteed on this. In terms of soak scale, I've got to give it a 12 out of 10. It doesn't just get you wet, it annihilates you. So that's all 7 rides covered. Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear your own experiences, your favourite rides, and how much you got soaked on these. For those not looking to leave the park dripping, consider wearing a poncho on these rides. No poncho keeps your feet dry though, which is why I often bang on about wearing waterproof footwear like Crocs or Tevas to the parks. Be sure to check out my other videos for more Orlando insight. And don't forget to subscribe and stay up to date with all my latest content. Until next time, happy splashing.